Introducing the new Starboard Gen R race board to the lineup. Now the Gen R is a board that is ideal for tech racing, it's ideal for flat water, and it can handle chop. Compared to the All-Star is still the best board for all conditions. It can go in bigger chop. Being a dugout board, you have that additional stability to handle more open ocean. But the Gen R is really going to appeal to those that want a lighter weight board. Being thinner overall means that it is much lighter. And generally for those that want a flat deck race board that's easier and more forgiving to move up and down the board, if you're going in waves, it's generally going to be much easier to control. What are the changes on this new Gen R? Firstly, the standing area. You have slightly more recessed standing. So it's still a flat deck, it's not a dugout, but we went down about 1.5 centimeters. So you're going to feel that this board has a bit more stability and control when you're standing. We also extended the standing area forwards, so now you have more space to adjust your feet. If you're doing a sprint stance, you have more room to move kind of forwards on the board. The next change is the actual rails of the board. We did a lot of work on refining the rail shape by rounding the deck or the shoulder of the deck and also the tuck, so the bottom edge. So in general, the rails and the nose are more round, which means when you're going in side chop, it's less affected by bumps pushing you from side to side, which means that you can keep kind of a better line and stay in more controlled tracking with those rounder rails. The other big change is the rocker. We looked at the All-Star and the previous Gen R, and we've actually now kind of got a rocker pretty much in between the two. So in chop now, this board is going to be more forgiving when you're going downwind. It's not going to purl, and it's generally going to be easier to kind of steer and maneuver, so more forgiving. And in flat water, you still have a bit lower rocker than the All-Star, which gives you that glide and maximizes the kind of waterline, so you have that overall speed. The other new feature that is a kind of hidden almost is the recessed handles. So here we have actually new handles which are a bit more firmer. So when you are doing a beach start, you know they're going to stay more secure in your hands. But under here, you've actually got a recessed EVA cushioning. So when you're doing beach starts, which this board is really kind of designed to do, you now, when you push down on your knuckles, when you're going to land on the board, you have a nice softness because of this EVA. So it's going to feel much more comfortable doing these beach starts. You're not going to kind of scratch or hurt your knuckles. And so just in the center here, you've got that added cushioning. So it's a nice new feature. Still in the standing area, you have one drainage hole, which just helps flush any water out. But then as you go towards the tail, you've got a nice kind of smooth deck shape, which allows the water to rush out. And in the tail shape, you've got the new rounded tail, which is similar to the All-Star tail shape. And we found with this that it's not only easier for turning, because it's slightly more narrow at the very tail, it will sink and allow you to do faster, snappier turns. But the big difference here is downwind again. Having that roundness, we found when you're turning or changing direction on the wave, it's a bit smoother and a bit more forgiving. So you're not going to get pulled from one side to the other. You can gradually make those maneuvers and it just feels a bit more smooth. One other change is actually the bottom shape. So the previous model had a very flat bottom shape, and that gives you really good kind of initial stability. But when you're going in choppier conditions, we wanted to improve the secondary stability, to have something that was a bit more forgiving. And so here we've actually put the same bottom shape as the All-Star into the Gen R. So you have a slight kind of V in the middle, and then you have these concave sides, which helps you again maneuver, but also gives you a bit more secondary stability, and in general was faster overall. The Gen R still comes with the Flash Plus fin. This is the 1423 model. And yeah, there's just to sum up, it's got refinements that increase your control, still gives you an added speed, but is generally more forgiving in choppier conditions and easier when you're doing downwind runs. So the new Gen R is definitely one to try. If you've used the All-Star, this board is going to feel more like the All-Star, but in a flat deck version.